City Wrestling.
Oh yeah, welcome to another edition of Grind City Wrestling. This is episode 242. I am Dustin Starr. I'm your host for today. Be sure to follow us at Grind City Media. Take that subscribe button to Slap City wherever you're watching, especially on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. Last week, we had a former WWE World Tag Team Champion and current New Japan Pro Wrestling Dojo trainer, Fred Rosser. Great to catch up with Fred, talk about everything from WWE, New Japan, Titus O'Neil, and so much more. And this week, I'm going to catch up with the longest reigning Impact World Champion in history, the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. Impact Wrestling is here this week in Memphis, so I'll catch up with him. E-Rock Eric McMahon is not allowed back on the podcast until he scores an interview with CM Punk, so he won't be here today. But joining me right now, my co-host and tag team partner, ladies and gentlemen, it's Devin Walker, baby. What's up, D?
Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Oh, yeah.
Today is a great day, man. I had to put this on today just for you, 5-star. I'm here.
I love it.
The most electrifying man in the wrestling, whatever they say, whatever that thing is. He's back, man. I love to see it.
The most electrifying man in all of entertainment. The Rock is back.
You messed it up too.
What?
Sports entertainment. That was most electrifying man.
All of entertainment.
Okay.
He changed it. Now he's a big movie star, TV star, football star. The most electrifying man in all of entertainment. That was a huge shock to everybody, all wrestling fans across the globe. I'm sure we're going to talk about it, but first be sure to follow Devin on Twitter, Devin_Walker2. I was going to say what's new, but it looks like you've got the new jersey. You're all decked out for the Rock.
Look, man. I'm all decked out for the Rock. I'm all about celebrating the Rock because the Rock hasn't been around in a while, right? I thought we were gonna get a Rock match at WrestleMania against Reigns. We didn't. I thought maybe he would come in and be a part of the Bloodline storyline at some point. He didn't.
I called it. The WrestleMania match was set up. It was a handshake deal. It just didn't happen. Now it looks like Philadelphia.
There you go. So, but to see him on that, he was on the Pat McAfee podcast, and then he was on College Game Day in Colorado, out of all places. And then he showed up at SmackDown on that Friday night. Even he said it. And I'm pretty sure you're going to ask me my best wrestling of the week. I'm just going to tell you right now, that is probably my best wrestling of the week, 5-star, because even The Rock, who has gotten some of the biggest pops in wrestling history, right? The Attitude Era was the era that I grew up on, the one that made me a wrestling fan that I am today. He said, this is a top 5 pop in my wrestling career. He said, I took a moment, I had to look up and smile because I had never heard anything like that in my life. The fans cheered for about 10 minutes.
Awesome.
10 minutes straight. He made that, and this is the thing. We have this conversation all the time. I was talking to Roser about it this weekend, and and people always ask, like, why do these guys always go back? Why do these guys always go back? Why do they do this? Well, these guys are 50, 60 years old. Why do they always go back? For moments like that. That adrenaline rush you get when you walk out of that curtain and you hear 10,000 to 11,000 to 12,000 people scream your name. The adrenaline rush you get from having that moment, that is why guys go back, 5-star. That's why they go back.
Let me tell you this. The people do not forget. Wrestling fans are some of the greatest fans in the history of the world. They have memories like elephants. They don't forget anything. And when you hear that music hit, it's just like the glass shattering. It is epic, The Rock. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you. Well, first, let me tell you that coming up, we are going to talk about wrestlers on Netflix. I watched the first couple of episodes actually on accident. We were going for one episode. We watched 2.5. It was me and my lovely Maria. He did not agree to do a podcast with me because she feared that she would get a ton of heat from not only wrestling fans, but the people in the show, because we know several of the people in the show. But we'll talk about that. I'm going to catch up with Josh Alexander. Of course, Impact Wrestling is in Memphis at Graceland this Friday and Saturday. And of course, Tommy Dreamer is going to stay over for Monday at Mid-South Coliseum. So Josh Alexander is going to join us. Plus, I've got a couple of really huge headlines. Some of them just broke this morning, so we'll talk about those. But okay, I'm going to say the best wrestling you watched all week, but we already know it's The Rock, so continue.
Yeah, The Rock, man. I just anytime you see The Rock come out, bro, and then he walks out, and I didn't get to the part where he even gets in the ring, hits the people's elbow, which is kind of funny because we all know that people kind of gripe about the LA Knight thing, about LA Knight kind of stealing his gimmick and his move and everything else. And so I think that pop that he got was partly because of that, and partly because, dude, we ain't seen that move in so long. Done the way it's
Well,
supposed to be done. So shout out to The Rock, man. This show right here, shout out to The Rock, the most electrifying the front of the jersey has The Rock, and on
round
the
of
back
applause.
it has the electrifying one on the back right there. There you
Oh
go.
yeah.
There you go, the electrifying one. So shout out to The Rock, man. But I guess we talked about The Rock thing. So I guess my quasi best wrestling of the week, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna lead into the topic, is once again the TV show Wrestlers. I finished it last week. I started it, and I'm like you, 5 star. I watched one episode, and I was like, all right, I'll go to bed. And I was like, you know what? This is really good. Let me keep watching. So I got 2 or 3 episodes in last week, and I finished it all 2 days ago. And you're gonna get to it, and I'm pretty sure you'll recognize a lot of people in the show. But the last episode on the nostalgia factor, it for me, it hit the top because the person that wrestled as a kid, I didn't understand it, but now as an adult, I understand it so much, and I give that person so much credit for getting that over because that is the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen in my life. That's
So
all I'll say
are
about it.
you trying not to ruin the show? Are you trying not to give me spoilers, or do you?
I mean, I guess I could tell you, but then
It was very accidental when we watched because the Netflix, I guess they figured this thing out, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But once the first episode ends, it didn't show like the start of the program again with the credits and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of rolled into episode 2, and then it started rolling into 3. We didn't even know, so we like looked after a couple minutes. It was kind of getting late, and we're thinking, is it still episode 2 or what? And we were on 3. It was like, okay, all right, let's break for the day. But
yeah.
really good stuff. I'm going to have some notes on that here in just a minute. And I am just like you. The best wrestling that I watched all week, hands down, was The Rock entering the ring. It was very, very cool that Austin Theory was there. Pat McAfee has become some sort of major, major superstar where he's having guys like Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar, now The Rock on his podcast, and then The Rock being paired with Prime at Colorado State there. Unbelievable stuff with The Rock and Deion Sanders, and of course SmackDown involved in that. It was just unbelievable, and it made it seem like The Rock is back on WWE TV because there was a scene backstage that I thought just put the icing on the cake of The Rock with John Cena and a
Mm-hmm.
stare down and then cracking the smiles and said, "Hey, I see you smiling." I kind of like how they did that because it made it seem very real. They dabbed up welcome home. And when I hear welcome home, it makes me feel like that The Rock's going to be back for a while. And he did tease that Philadelphia, WrestleMania, him versus Roman Reigns didn't happen at 39, and it potentially could happen at WrestleMania 40. Does that match happen? Yes or no?
I hope so. I hope so. And I think that when he says "welcome home," it makes me think about. I mean, it hurts the people that don't get paid, but the writer's strike. They're not writing movies right now. Not
Right.
writing TV shows right now. So what else? What else is The Rock doing? Why not go home? Go back to where you know they love you. You don't have to worry about any skepticism. You don't have to worry about, oh, that movie's not that good, because we know when you hear if you smell, when you hear that, the people are going to go crazy, and I love that. I will say one other note. I guess it's all The Rock, but I shout out to The Rock. He deserves everything. Eddie Kingston winning a belt in his hometown of New York. Flowers to him, because I've always loved Eddie Kingston. He is someone who gives Memphis his flowers all the time. He's one of those grungy, straight edge. I don't give a damn what you think, guys. I love those kind of guys. He wrestles in jean shorts and a t-shirt. Like I love, and he got his moment last night on AEW Dynamite. So salute to him too.
We got a
Eddie Kingston.
lot to talk about coming up, especially some highlights coming from AEW Dynamite. The other best wrestling that I watched all week, I had two, one on deck just in case, because I figured we both would have the same best wrestling with The Rock. But also we have the same backup because I put wrestlers on Netflix down as well. I saw Shalance Tony Gunn, Doug Basham, Al Snow, Layla Gray, a lot of people that we know and that we're familiar with. Wasn't quite what I expected, but then also it was exactly what I expected. And I'll tell you more about that after we talk to Josh Alexander, because Impact Wrestling is coming this Friday and Saturday to Graceland. I'll be there, Devin. I know that you'll be there as well. But first, before they ring the bell, Josh Alexander joined me for a quick catch-up interview. Check it out. And right now, I am talking to a man that they call the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. What's going on, Josh?
Oh, same old, just getting ready for this weekend in Memphis with Impact Wrestling. So
That's right. You got a big, huge weekend coming up. We're going to talk all about it. But first, man, looking up Josh Alexander here several years back, you kind of just exploded onto the scene. You have so many accolades here with Impact Wrestling, and one of them is the longest reigning Impact Wrestling World Champion, 335 days. What does that mean to you, man? There's a long list of guys, legends that have held that championship.
As an Impact fan since the very beginning, tuning in on a Wednesday night when I was 15 with my high school buddies, we were the wrestling geeks in high school. When this new thing popped up, pay-per-views Wednesday night straight from Nashville, Tennessee, not too far from Memphis, obviously. It means everything to me. Like it's something that I could have never thought would have happened, and for everything in my career to transpire the way it has, for Impact to be the first company to look at me and say, hey, we want to sign this guy, and then see what happens, and then just come in here and kicking the door down, and not looking back since. In 4.5 years, having not just the longest world title reign of all time in this company, but longest reigning tag team champion. I got to run with that X Division championship, which for me as a fan when I was 15 tuning in, that was the stuff that really revolutionized Impact Wrestling for me. So it's all just amazing.
Yes, man. And same. Growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, watching that Nashville had TNA and Impact Wrestling coming. Oh my gosh, that was absolutely huge. But now you do have a different style compared to professional wrestling. Very, you have the straps, the headgear that we've only seen Rick Steiner wear. Give me the story behind the headgear and the getup.
Well, none of it happened on purpose. I wore the singlet because when I first started wrestling, straight out of high school, I started my venture into pro wrestling. But I was some 290 something pounds in high school.
Wow,
I was a big
yeah.
kid. I wasn't looked at as a professional athlete back then at all. And, I discovered pro wrestling and I fell in love with it. And I knew, to do anything and progress in this business, I was going to have to, shape my body and become an athlete. And, I've done that over the course of the past 18 years. But yeah, the headgear was just something luckily I fell into. It was about, I want to say 2012. I suffered an injury to my ear, just a little bit of cauliflower. And I had a show the night after and I went and wrestled on that. And I told the guy, I was like, hey man, just please don't hit me in the ear. And, kind of when you speak it into existence, of course it's going to happen. And I actually took a kick directly to my ear and it blew up off my head. It was the size. It was the size of a softball, if it was absurdly big. I tried to wear a beanie to cover it up, and the beanie was just folded out to here.
Oh my gosh!
And it actually swelled so bad that my ear had burst off my head, and it was hanging and dangling down. It was really disgusting. And I went to the hospital. I got it all sewn on. They had to do a whole surgical process so that my ear would still function and I'd be able to wear these headphones that I have on. But they said, don't wrestle for 3-4 months. And I was like, what are you talking about? I got a booking in 2 weeks I got to get to. So I just went online. I got a headgear off eBay. It was in my place and within 10 days for that booking. And I wore it. And I remember when I came back after that match, it was a match with Mike Bailey, actually, when he was first starting out in Ontario here. And a bunch of people would come up to me and be like, that headgear, man, it works. It looks badass. And nobody's been able to pull it off other than Rick Steiner, obviously. And it was just something that snowballed from there and kind of became my identity and kind of fit the character that, I project while I'm in the ring. So.
Yeah, and you talk about getting in shape, 297 pounds. Dude, you've got veins in your quads at this point. You are in elite physical condition. And I know you had your ear explode. You tore your tricep. That's the only thing that stopped you from continuing as the Impact World Champion. So I will tell you that I do hope that by November 19th, because you're coming back to Memphis after this weekend on November 19th, I hope that you bring that world championship with you. I hope you have it back by then.
Hey man, we will see what happens at Bound for Glory. The match will be made as of tomorrow night, so we will see.
I cannot wait. All right, so PWI 500, you're in the news, top 10. Now, my friends, of course, I've been in the business over 20 years, right? So my friends always thought this was the coolest thing in the world. And some guys are into it and some guys aren't. Dude, you made the top 10. What does that mean?
Well, like as me, of course, just like as a fan coming up, you collect these magazines. We didn't have the internet when I was a kid in the
Right.
90s, you know what I mean? We bought these magazines and I looked
Yep.
up all the standings, all the title rankings that were in the back a few pages, and I was just like, I don't know who Akuta Hidaka is. Why is he I need to look this guy up. So like I would
Right.
tape trade and I would do this stuff. And I discovered so many wrestlers because of these ranking systems that PWI has. And like for me, it's awesome for that inner fan of me. It's awesome for those wrestling fans I just talked about that I was friends with in high school and stuff, and still talk to this day. And I think nine's my lucky number because a couple years ago, SI Sports Illustrated put out a top 10 or whatever, and I was number 9 in that one as well. So
Very, very cool. So you got number 1, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns 2, John Moxley 3. Are you kidding me? So this is incredible. Gunther, Vikingo, MJF, Okada, Orange Cassidy, then Josh Alexander, Cody Rhodes rounds out the top 10. That is, if that's not good company, I can't tell you what is, man. Congratulations on that.
yeah, it's incredible, and I just like it's a testament to Impact giving me a platform to perform and show what I can do. And I say bell to bell, I don't think there's a better wrestler in the world than me. And we'll see if we can climb the rankings even further next year and get some more light on myself and Impact at the same time.
Now, the reports say that you just signed a new contract here not too long ago with Impact Wrestling, so you'll be around for a minute at least.
I signed a multi-year deal last March, I believe it
Okay.
was. Yeah, when I came back, and a challenge for that championship at Rebellion against Moose to start the run. So it's been a couple of years, but yeah, multi-year deal. So I'll be around for a minute.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday, Impact Wrestling is at Graceland Live. And I'm telling you, everywhere we go, they're talking about it. It's been 11 years since Impact has been here in the Memphis area. Mickey James, Deanna Perrazzo stopped by the Wrestle Center here at Memphis Wrestling, talked a little bit about it, walked around on Beale Street. They're excited to be at a Graceland. Have you ever wrestled in Memphis or have any memories? I know you mentioned tape trading. A lot of the stories that we hear of guys our age are tape trading or looking it up, and all that kind of stuff. Is there any sentimental value of coming to Memphis with the history that they have?
Yeah, of course. As you become a wrestling fan and you become a wrestler, you try to study all these different areas of pro wrestling. You study the territory days, and Memphis is no stranger to the territory days. One of
Right.
the hottest territories in all of pro wrestling throughout like that entire era up until like the 2000s, really. And the Jerry the King Lawler stories, the Andy Kaufman stories, and all that stuff that you followed over the years. So it's good to come to a wrestling town. I'm happy that Impact Wrestling is coming to a wrestling town because anytime you go to a town with such rich history in pro wrestling, you get fans that are knowledgeable and enjoy pro wrestling as well. So.
Well, we love Impact Wrestling here in Memphis. We have Tommy Dreamer coming. I know he's going to be there this weekend. Also, he's hanging out with us at the Mid-South Fair coming up on Monday. You and Eric Young are scheduled to be here at the Wrestle Center coming up on November 19th. Those tickets are already on sale right now, memphiswrestling.tv. Anybody that's looking for Impact Wrestling tickets, you can get those at memphiswrestling.tv as well. Like I said, this Friday and Saturday, it's going to be awesome. Graceland Live. Who are you getting in the ring with this weekend? Any idea?
I have one match announced. I'm probably going to have another one that is yet to be announced, if it is announced at all. So you're going to have to wait and see for that one. But the one match that is announced is myself against New Japan Young Lion, who's on excursion right now, Yuya Uemura. And, he's very skilled. He's an amateur wrestler throughout high school and his collegiate days out in Japan. And he's out on an excursion, soon to be ending his excursion. So this might be the last time you get to see him actually in Impact before he goes off to New Japan and, blossoms into whatever star he may become, a la, the likes of an Okada in the past and everybody else that's been through that Young Lion system. But I'm excited to step foot in the ring with him just because of that collegiate wrestling background. I think we're going to mesh styles really well. It's going to be, a badass pro wrestling match.
And just curious, a little peek behind the curtain, if you can. How do these tapings go? I mean, how many will you tape? How many matches do you typically have? Will you cover a full month? How does it work when Impact comes on location like this?
Well, for me, right now, especially being, kind of in a prominent storyline of pro wrestling and Impact Wrestling, I'll have to have usually 2 matches, and I'll have 2 in-ring or promo segments, so that we tape 4 weeks of TV over the course of 2 days, so 2 episodes per day.
Gotcha.
It doesn't mean you're going to see 20 matches each day and it's going to be exhausting. They kind of balance it out with like the backstage promos and everything else, so you get a good healthy amount of 2 to max 3 hours of pro wrestling each night, and stars from all over Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, and anybody that has not been to a television taping, there's not a lot of stalling. Literally, when you have multiple tapings like this, you get to see boom, 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 boom. It's very fast paced. Got 2 days worth coming up, Friday, Saturday. Is there anything that I left out? Anything you want to tell the fans of Memphis to look out for on your way as you're coming to Graceland Live?
It's kind of the same thing I tell anybody whenever I do an interview coming into a new town or I do any sort of media. It's just, if you like pro wrestling, whether you like, something hard hitting, you like high flying, you like knockouts, women's wrestling action, you like, the more old school style, or you like comedic wrestling, Impact Wrestling has literally something for everybody on the card every single night. And I think that's something that sets us apart. As I said before, that X division has been around since 2002, and it's been kind of the staple of Impact Wrestling, as well as the Knockouts division. I think our Knockouts women's division in pro wrestling is second to none to any company in the world, and I'll say that all day long without hesitation. So,
Mickey James, one of my favorites of all time. I'll just have to throw that out there real quick. Josh, thank you so much for joining me here on Grind City Wrestling. Can't wait to see you this weekend.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and I hope to see all the fans out there this weekend.
Welcome back. Dustin and Devin here. Devin, are you a fan of Josh Alexander?
He works his ass off, man. He wears that little headgear. He works his ass off, so I salute him. The human weapon. I respect it. But I want to ask you a question about, his nickname is a human weapon, because I'm pretty sure we're about to talk about wrestlers, so I want to ask this question. And I've already seen the finale, so the touch of nostalgia hit then. How the hell, maybe you can answer this question. How the hell did Al Snow get a head over?
What does everybody want? What does everybody need?
I guess head is the answer.
It was such a time in wrestling where you could do stuff like that. So anything that had some sort of sexual connotation, like head, I mean, that's pretty easy to get over if I do say so myself, but it's just a matter of that promotion or that company letting you say stuff like that. And ECW was absolute best at just letting guys go out there and do their thing.
That is a creative ass character, bro. I'm sorry. Walking out and says, "What does everybody want?" in the crowd chanting "head" in 2003 is amazing. So salute to Al Snow. That's amazing.
We are going to talk about the wrestlers coming up next, but just to wrap up Josh Alexander, very, very cool. Who knew that he wears the headgear because his ear literally exploded off of his head? So very, very cool stuff from Josh Alexander, going from 300 pounds to looking how he does now. Dude's got veins all over his quads and everything. Really, really good stuff. Josh Alexander, he's going to be live in action this Friday and Saturday at Graceland. Also, tickets are on sale right now for November 19th, right here at the Wrestle Center. We have Josh Alexander coming along with Eric Young, 2 Impact Wrestling superstars. Get those tickets in advance, memphiswrestling.tv. Okay, wrestlers on Netflix. I went to my Maria and I told her, there's this show. I explained to her exactly what it was. Of course, she was familiar with OVW already because of us being in the wrestling business, yada, 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 yada. She was actually interested in seeing this, but she was not interested in doing a podcast with me about it because I thought that she would have so many hot takes because this looks like a family business. This is, they're talking about financials. They're talking about their partner there. I mean, there's a whole lot to uncover. So let's unpack it real quick. We first saw that we knew a lot of people on the show, which I thought was very cool. We even feel like we know Al Snow just from the years and years of watching him on television, ECW, WWE, and all that kind of stuff. He's been in the business forever. But the biggest heel on the show and the biggest takeaway that not only that I thought about, but Maria also does not like this guy, and that's Matt, the owner.
Oh, okay. Exactly.
Hates him.
I'm glad y'all feel the same way I do.
Hates him.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is obviously like a local celebrity on the radio, right? He owns a restaurant. So he's this guy with money that thinks that everything he touches, he can turn into gold.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, he clearly does not know how to communicate with the professional wrestlers. And
He
some of
he
the
sees them as
converse,
lesser. He sees them as lesser, which is so messed up, bro.
oh my gosh, like he was sitting down talking to the lead broadcaster and one of the guys that creates the graphics and the promotional materials and everything. He says he spends 20 hours a week on graphics, and I feel his pain, let me tell you. But then to sit that guy down and tell him in front of a camera that he needs to prove his worth, that we're not
Mhm.
drawing, do we realize that that guy does not sell tickets? You know what I mean? He
Bro, and
creates marketing material and he broadcasts the show and he does video production. He doesn't actually do anything to help draw tickets. He provides you with stuff, the graphics, the assets, if you will, in order to promote your business. Why are you going to fire him? What are you
and
going to do without him?
the dude's doing camera work where he said he never touched a camera in his life. He's like, I showed up and they were like, here's a camera.
Hey, Devin, the Grizzlies aren't any good this year. I'm sorry, pal. Since we're losing, we've got to cut you from the social
Yeah.
media team.
It's like, what I
What?
do?
You're not playing the game. You're actually helping.
Yeah,
But so
yeah
that was one of the
it's
things that really
it
stuck
doesn't
out.
get, it might get better. It gets a little bit better as you continue to watch it, but that dude's a prick for real.
We have
Like
had similar experiences with guys like Matt.
you haven't gotten to the seizure episode, have you?
I have not gotten to the seizure episode. So right now we are looking at this wrestlers on Netflix in a very similar light that we've had because from time to time, and I can't talk in too much detail about it because of legalities, but
Oh
if that
no.
tells you anything. But these sponsors, these promoters, let me back up. So apparently Al Snow purchased OVW and then they kind of went in the hole. They're really, really struggling with money. Everybody knows that it's a really tough business on the independent level, especially to make money. They say they're losing $2,000 every single week that they run a television show. Actually, Devin, now that I'm watching it, that is kind of normal. So on live events like that, you do tend to lose money. But one thing that really sticks out is they don't have any commercials. They don't have any sponsors or advertisers. That is where you're supposed to make the money instead of off of the tickets and yada, 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 yada. I would never sit there and devalue the product like Matt did. I've never heard an owner talk so negative about his own company. And what I mean is he said, yeah, we're on a million different streaming services, but you can't find us. We make $100 a week off our television show that nobody watches. And here we are thinking that OVW is this big, you know, independent, one of the biggest independent wrestling companies there are.
But that's like his job though, like like that's his job to do that. Like if you have a voice in the community, like a powerful voice, you should use it. And I know he mentions like I'll talk about it on the radio show. Dude, I feel like nowadays just doing it on the radio is not it. Like you got to promote things through social. And one issue I have with Al, I love Al. And one issue I have with Al, we talk about Matt being a shitty person. Al's for some to his detriment still lives in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
He was still living in the Attitude Era where he wants things to be the way they used to be. And Matt is the one who comes in. He's a dickhead for sure, but he wants to come in and kind of do things different, but not different enough to where they would boost up the promotion. So it's like, why not bring those two worlds together and beat a little bit of Al, a little bit of Matt, and you got an amazing promotion. It was like it's like a stalemate, right? The two are fighting, and that's when the drama comes. So maybe, yeah, I think it's 2023, and y'all do a good job of it. Going through social media is the way to get to people now. Social media is the way to get to people to shows now. That is the way. That is the new wave of marketing that some people don't understand.
We have a referee doing a Stone Cold Stunner from the Dyer County Fair that has over 100,000 views right now on Facebook. Yeah. Me and Al Snow are not the same. The way that they portrayed Al Snow, I don't think was in like really a negative light, but him sitting in the office and I just felt a lot of negativity throughout the entire program that I thought, I don't know if it was edited that way or what. Also, I noticed that the creative process, man, there are like 5 or 6 dudes in this room all writing this creative. No way, Jose. Way too many Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, let's compare it to basketball. If there were, 5 or 6 different people all doing a game up script, you'd be all over the place and not really agree on anything. And so that's just natural. That's not even wrestling business. That's just natural. It's hard to get 6 or 7 people to all agree on something, but just lots of negativity. talking about how bad the streaming services are, the television reach, and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was really, really wild. But then as the episodes progressed, you could see that they were drawing some people at some of these shows. So I can't wait to watch more. The biggest takeaway at this point was Matt, the owner, is a major heel. Looked like Al Snow needed a little bit of help financially, so a couple of other guys. Another interesting point here too is that it looks like the mayor of Louisville is part owner in this thing. If you're the
Yeah.
mayor of man, if the mayor of Memphis was partners with me, goodness gracious, we'd be everywhere, I would hope.
You think that would help the promotion, right? Like, but if I don't think that some people understand that, so that's the hard part. I want to ask you this too, going into the about the show. What do you think about my girl Hollywood Haley J?
Hollywood.
My bad, Hollywood Haley J.
I said the same thing. I was like, Hollywood, Haley. And then Maria's like, no, that's Hollywood. And I go, what? And she goes, no, read it. It says Hollywood. And I loved it even more. I
Yeah,
loved it even more because it was Hollywood.
amazing. It's an amazing character. And one thing too, you'll probably see as it goes on. And we talk about Al Snow being an old school guy, right? At some point, they play the mother versus daughter angle, where they put the mom against Hollywood Haley J, right?
I'm seeing it.
And they're like they wanted to be a crescendo, right? My mom was the queen of death matches back in the day, so why not make it a death match? And you'll see it, dude, when they get to the episode. Al Snow's like, oh my god, he's like no, because it goes back to the old school wrestling. He's like, if I wanted someone just to beat the shit out of each other with weapons, I would watch it on YouTube. He was like, that is not what I do. He's like, I tell stories. And like he was getting so frustrated. But then when they had the match, it was phenomenal. You'll see the match on the curtain. He was like, that was amazing. Because he realized like the crowd got invested, everybody got invested. Then you go back. It's good TV, man.
Maria also hates that after every pre-tape or after every match, oh, that was great. That was fantastic. And she's just like looking at me like, is that you? And I'm like, sometimes you're in the moment and it's exciting. But I think one of the biggest takeaways before we hit the headline is definitely communication with the wrestlers, an outsider coming in to tell wrestlers exactly what to do and how they're going to do it, even though they've never taken a bump in their life. Wrestlers do have a problem with that. One of the reasons that I'm so highly involved with Memphis Grizzlies Wrestling Night is that communication, whether it's booking the wrestlers and communicating with that way or delivering, and this is going to sound very weird, but delivering a script to somebody and wanting them to do it without arguing or thinking that you're trying to get over on them, and then just being able to flow with that conversation instead of being very bullheaded. And if you go back and watch Wrestlers on Netflix, you'll see a lot of that communication with Matt, and that was a big takeaway for Maria and myself. All right, so
he added the whole like traveling around thing that Al Snow wasn't really getting, but like you said, there was some things you're like, bro, what are you doing? You can't talk to people like that. But if you haven't watched it, me and Foster definitely recommend it. Y'all gotta watch. If you listen to this podcast, go watch Wrestling on Netflix.
You will be a little bit annoyed by this guy that we're talking about. So anyways, headlines. Let's get into headlines real quick. WWE SmackDown is moving back to the USA Network in 2024.
That's awkward.
A little awkward, but still getting money for the program.
Does that mean this whole Fox thing didn't work out?
That's exactly what it means. Fox paying bunches and bunches of money for WWE programming, looks like in 2024. I think it's October of 2024, which is kind of interesting that they've already announced this, but moving forward, SmackDown in 2024 will be on USA Network. Vince McMahon, it's been revealed, has told Kurt Angle that he plans to live till he's 120 years old. He said, my mom lived till she was over 100. I'm going to live till I'm 120. And I thought this was interesting. Let me give you the tweet real quick. Let me find it. It is hilarious. And I know that wrestling fans all over the globe are going to hate to hear this. Vince McMahon told Kurt Angle that he plans to live until he's 120 years old. So here's the quote. When I came back to WWE, says Kurt Angle, Vince says, I'm going to have this company for a lot longer than you think, Mr. Angle. I'm 73 right now. My mom lived to be 101. I'm planning on living till I'm 120. He said, I'm never letting the company go. I'm always going to be working here. They're going to have to pull it from my cold. They're going to have to pry it from my cold, dead hands. That's what Vince McMahon told Kurt Angle.
Oh, no. I know you know how I feel about this whole Vince thing. If he lives to 120, bro, it's gonna be a long couple of years for the wrestling business because we know that there's some things that Vince still loves that needs to be out in the wrestling business. But whatever, Vince, whatever you say.
I'm a fan of Vince McMahon, the business owner, so I'll just put it like that. Also,
Yes.
There's a new interview with Kurt Angle on the Joe Rogan podcast, which was really great. And one of the takeaways that I heard just in one of the clips is that Kurt Angle at one point was getting 2,700 pills per month.
Jeez, bro. I gotta watch that documentary on Peacock. People tell me it's really good. Angle.
I've got to watch that one. I've already seen the Cody one, and it was fantastic. All right, next headline: Jon Moxley hurt. Man, he was absolutely planted by Ray Phoenix. Didn't look like that was supposed to be the finish because the referee goes down to count the 3 and literally stop. Devin, he stopped the count. 1, 2, and stop, and starts looking. If that's me and I'm messed up, first of all, that would not be me because I'm a professional and I know how to do the count, okay? And you guys can shit on me all you want for that, but this referee just ruined a fantastic match where Moxley probably broke his damn neck, and now you can't even play the damn highlight for it because the ref messed it up, right? So if you're in that situation, I'm mad right now. 1, 2, 3. Count the 3. If it's late, there's a better way to do it too. There's what we call the swipe in the wrestling. And I'm glad this is a podcast. Look, I'm going to do this right now.
Let's go.
1, 2. Whoa! You know how you swipe? They swipe like this, right?
Yeah.
They swipe. Okay, yeah. So if he doesn't kick out, 1, 2, swipe. 3. Ring the bell. I hit with my elbow. 3, hit the bell. Anything is better than just stopping. Mind is blown. But anyways, Jon Moxley is hurt. He, by the looks of it,
he looked pretty hurt.
It does not look good. They planted one of their biggest superstars, main eventers, a household freaking name. You dropped on the tip top of his head. Are you kidding me? And then picked him up and did it again.
Moxley's done worse shit than that 5-star. And
Ray Phoenix and Pentagon are 2 very dangerous professional wrestlers, the way that they drop people on their necks and they slam them. It's bad enough, the flips and all that kind of stuff that's endangering, themselves.
Yeah.
But if I pick you up, Devin, I'm supposed to put you back down as safely as humanly possible. And Moxley was dumped on his head.
Yeah, he died, and that's what you don't like to see. And for us, bro, we have an AEW show coming here in like a month.
Yep.
You want guys like Moxley to be on the card to sell tickets. If Moxley's out, oh boy.
Here's a question. Should that referee be fired?
No. That's a little too far, 5-star. Trying to fire people.
Championship match, live television
match on TV. Made some mistake.
With an injury involved too?
Yeah, I wouldn't fire him. I know you like to fire
I'm just asking.
No, I wouldn't fire him. I think he'd be you take him off.
I wouldn't either.
Take him off TV for a little bit, send him back to the development a little bit. But I wouldn't fire him. I think everybody makes a mistake every now and then. And there's been times when refs have saved people.
Listen to me, Devin.
Save somebody.
Memphis Wrestling had the worst refs in the business. I said had. We had the worst referees and we leveled them up. AEW referees, historically not very good.
Hey, what about the chick with the ponytail?
I didn't say I like her. I mean, I like the refs. I'm just saying, historically, there have been a ton of mistakes. And this one is glaring with a championship match, Moxley, a messed up finish, maybe a broken neck. It's not good. Also, speaking of injuries, your boy Adam Cole, baby, jumped off the stage to go help MJF, and he has possibly injured his ankle. He was at the hospital last night for it.
Yeah, what an idiot. What an idiot. I also love the MJF. Did you see the MJF intro video yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Walks up to the kid, whispers in his ear, "Dad, am I adopted?" Like that is the most MJF shit in the world. That was fun. I love the MJF Samoa Joe feud so much.
Good stuff.
It was fun stuff. Fun stuff.
All right, Devin, if you don't have any highlights, I'm going to give us the upcoming events, and we are going to get out of here.
Jade Cargill is now working for WWE. She was spotted at the the Development Center.
I wish.
This week. So stay tuned, bro. I'm excited to see what WWE does with Jade Cargill because it looks like she's not going to start at NXT. She's going straight to the main roster.
Oh, absolutely. There is no compete clause, so she can go over there immediately since her contract ran out and it wasn't like a release or anything like that. All right, here's what's coming up for Memphis Wrestling real quick. This Friday night at 11 p.m. on Action News 5 Plus, and again on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. and on YouTube. It's the 5-Star 5-Way. It's one of the biggest matches in the history of Memphis Wrestling. The winner will go on to face the Gun Show for the Memphis Heritage Championship. This Friday and Saturday, Impact Wrestling is live at Graceland. If you want tickets, hit your boy up, and I might be able to accommodate you. September 25th, that's this Monday, the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer, is bringing the Digital Media Championship to Memphis Wrestling. Get your tickets at memphiswrestling.tv. Yes, Devin.
I got breaking news, bro. So apparently WWE is doing cuts right now.
Oh,
and WWE is doing cuts as we do this podcast. Top Dollar has been released from the WWE. Elias has been released to the WWE. Aaliyah has been released from the WWE. Mustafa Ali, who is supposed to work a match with Dominic Mysterio next month at No Mercy, has been released from the WWE. What is going on, bro?
Folks, more on this story as it develops. We are running low on time. He is Devin Walker. I am Dustin Starr, and we'll have a full list of the releases and whatever that is going on. We'll have that for you next week, right here on Grind City Wrestling. Who else got released, Devin?
Hope I don't get released.